All right, guys, been a minute since we've been in the shop working on anything. Just been super busy with life and doing summertime stuff and riding mini bikes. But the other night I was sitting around here and I thought, you know, maybe there's not enough mini trucks around here. So the shop is half empty, and to me that's a pretty good excuse. We should probably go buy something else. All right, guys, so what we're heading to pick up is a 1990 Mazda b2200 extended cab. Found this on an online auction, so I haven't seen it in person yet, but I'm super excited for it because in the pictures this thing looks super solid. It's all original, rust-free, and finding a rust-free Mazda or pretty much any older mini truck that's rust-free in Ohio is pretty much impossible. So I'm super excited for it, and we'll be there in just a minute, and hopefully this thing is as clean as it looks in the pictures. So it's a little snug getting the roll back in and out of here, but we'll get it. Oops. All right, guys, so here it is. And I'm sure some of you, depending where you're at in the country, if you're out west or down south, probably don't understand why I'm so excited about a Mazda. But just trust me when I say here in Ohio, you just do not find 30, 40-year-old mini trucks in this condition. It is impossible to find anything rust-free like this. So I'm super excited about it. And like I said, I bought it from a local auction here, but it has a Florida title. So who knows what the story is on it, if it came up recently or came up a long time ago and has just been stashed away somewhere. But it is super clean. And as far as I can tell, I found an old registration in the glove box from 1996. And there is a University of Florida sticker on the back here. I don't know if you can see it, but it expired in 96. And these tires have a date on them from 97. So my guess, it's probably been sitting around. It probably hasn't been on the road in about 25 years. Like I said, who knows what the story is on it. If it runs or blown up, who knows? Something we're going to have to figure out. But just the fact of how clean it is, we'll fix whatever's needed. Interior needs a little bit cleaning, but overall, super nice. There are some things missing and tore apart on it. Who knows what they had going on, but it looks like most of it is tucked away in the back here. Same with the engine. Got the air filter there and a couple other little things, because got a couple little things tore apart under here. But for the most part, it is pretty complete. So hopefully everything's there. We can throw this back together and start figuring out if it's going to run or what issues it has. But yeah, overall, I'm super happy with it. Super solid truck. Like, you just don't find stuff like this around here. So to me, this is pretty insane, hard to find truck. But I guess we'll get started. It doesn't have any keys, so first step, we're gonna drill out that ignition and go from there. All right, so we got a jump box thrown on it and got this ignition punched out. We got power, and I went ahead and wired up a push button for the starter. But before we do that, I'm going to check all these fluids and pull these plugs, spray some oil down there. Who knows how long this thing's been sitting. So we'll do that, let it sit overnight, and in the morning, we'll give it a go. All right, guys, so I let it sit overnight with the oil down the cylinders. We got everything thrown on the engine, checked all the fluids. I came in here this morning and rotated it by hand. Gave it a couple of full rotations just to make sure we're good to go. And everything seems fine. So going to put some power to it, dump some fuel in it, and see what happens. All right, so going to shoot a little fuel in here. Give it a little more because it is a race truck. But hop inside and see if this thing wants to fire up for the first time in 25 plus years. Got our push button start. Look at that. Dang, that was almost too easy, wasn't it? Okay, so I've been messing with this thing, and as long as I keep dumping gas down the curb, it'll fire up first time every time. But can't seem to get gas from the tank up to the carburetor. So talking to Jamie Swift over at Mini Trucker Cult, he's the Mazda madman, so go to him for all my Mazda questions. And he was telling me like 99% of these trucks have a mechanical fuel pump, but of course I have one of the rare ones that does not. You can see the block off plate there. But apparently some of these trucks with an automatic transmission had an electric pump in the tank. So I got to looking, crawling around under here, and this gas tank is just barely bolted in the truck and missing a bunch of the bolts and nuts. So obviously they're in the middle of removing it or putting it back together whenever this truck got parked. But I guess that's our next step. We'll get this thing up in the air, check out what's going on with the fuel tank. And also the brakes aren't working, so while it's up in the air, I'll probably bleed those out, figure those out, and we'll go from there. Okay, so just getting our first look underneath this thing, and like I mentioned before, you just do not find rust-free trucks like this around here, so I'm super pumped on that, but am finding a couple issues. Think we're going to need a carrier bearing, and this trick here, I've never seen this trick. Putting your exhaust together with high temp silicone, and of course you got the soup can patch up there. But what we're after right now is, like I said, I noticed this gas tank missing a bunch of bolts and hardware. So obviously they had something going on there. So I'm just going to drop it down, see what we got, and we'll go from there. Okay, so gas tank's out, and you can see how nasty and cruddy that sending unit is. And right away I seen the problem. Both leads on the fuel pump rotted off. I called around, no local parts store has that pump in stock. So for today, I'm going to rig up just this cheap electric fuel pump, throw a gas can underneath here, and get it plumbed up, and hopefully we can at least get this thing fired up and idling on its own, and see if we got any more issues. Alright, so up under here, we got a full can of gas with that electric pump hooked to it. Ran a power wire up front, and just another empty can there for the return. Then, like I said, up front, we just ran a power wire for the pump. And when I turn it on, you'll see our next problem here in just a second. There it is. Float hung up or stuck in the carburetor, so gotta tear all this stuff off that I just put back on and see what we got with that, but one step closer. All right guys, so I was just able to tap on the carburetor and get that float from being unstuck, but I tried and tried and tried, could not get gas up through the carburetor and through the jets. So I was dreading it because these Mazdas have so many vacuum lines and fuel lines and wires, but I ended up having to just pull the top of this carb off, and as you can imagine, it is nasty inside. Got one of the jets out here. I'm sure you can see why that wasn't working. So going to get this all cleaned up, we'll get it slammed back together, and hopefully you can get this thing fired up on its own. All right guys, so all back together again. About to see if it's gonna fire up on its own and stay running, so wish us luck. All right, so a little bit of a high idle. Probably has some vacuum leaks, but she's running. So I'm gonna climb back under here and see what we got going on with the brakes. And who knows, maybe we'll actually pull this thing in and out of the shop today. Okay, so back on the ground, got the brakes bled out, seem to be good. And we're about to see if this thing will start and run and drive and move and stop under its own power in the first time in 25 years. Even if it is just out into the driveway and back, I'm gonna call that a success, but see what happens. Guys, we just drove this thing for the first time in a quarter century, so that's pretty cool. Even if it was just out of the shop and back in, we made it. But obviously, a bunch of issues we've got to wrap up. We'll have to track down a new sending unit and pump, figure out something with this tank, either send it out, get it cleaned, or see if I can do something with it. And I did find another issue pulling it in and out of the shop. Kind of two issues in one. The high idle that I suspected was a vacuum leak, and the brakes that still suck. Turns out just the brake booster is blown out and sucking a bunch of air. So get a new brake booster. And I also got two more of these trucks that are just parts trucks. So I'm gonna make my way over there, and I'll be getting all the trim we're missing for this truck. I believe I have on another truck. I'm going to get the ignition switch and the interior pieces we need. We'll get those off the parts truck and kind of figure out a plan for this thing for the next video. I really don't know what I'm going to do with this truck. Maybe could just restore it back to completely stock, factory paint, factory graphics, everything. I found one online that was already done that I really like, so I may just kind of go that route with it. But who knows, maybe we lower it down a little bit, keep it stock or maybe throw some wheels on it. Really, no plan at all at this point, but at least we got it running, and see you guys next time.